What if the Nationalists won the Chinese Civil War? In our own timeline, China faced a long and brutal civil war that began in 1927, when the Nationalists purged communists in Shanghai, and ended in 1949 with a communist victor and the creation of the People's Republic of China under Mao Zedong. Meanwhile, the KMT under Chiang Kai-shek fled to the island of Taiwan, where they still exist. But what if that didn't happen? What if the KMT under Chiang Kai-shek were the victors of a civil war, and not the CCP under Mao Zedong? In this timeline, US President Harry S. Truman, who was criticized for not helping the Kuomintang in OTL, does help them, and together they defeat the Red Threat in 1947, making China under the control of Chiang. There are still some warlord states like Guangzhou, Shanxi or the Ma, but they are under the control of China, and later become part of it, either through diplomacy or force. Mao Zedong and other high-ranking communists would flee into the Soviet Union through their border with Manchuria. The ones that weren't that lucky got executed by the ROC. Mao would demand from Stalin to invade China, but he doesn't want to do that, because that could mean war with the US, who were by 1947 the only nation with nukes, and he wouldn't want Moscow or Leningrad to look like Hiroshima or Nagasaki. Unfortunately, just like the PRC in OTL, the ROC would invade Tibet. They never recognized its independence, and claimed it ever since its creation in 1912. The Tibetans would probably still protest against the government in Nanking, but they will probably never achieve independence. Speaking about the government in Nanking, the Republic of China was until the 90s not democracy, but just like the mainland and one-party dictatorship. It was a democracy under Sun Yat-sen, but this changed after his death in 1925. Chiang ruled until 1975, making him with 47 years the second longest ruling dictator after Fidel Castro. Also, their capital is not Beijing, because Nanking was intended to be its capital ever since 1911. With this new anti-communist China, the Cold War in East Asia would massively change. They would not send 500,000 soldiers to help North Korea, who would then be defeated by South Korea and the United States. After Stalin dies in 1953, Khrushchev becomes General Secretary of the Soviet Union, and he would seek closer relations with the West. He would also send Puyi to China. He was brought to court in Harbin, and would be executed for collaborating with the Empire of Japan. The last emperor of China is killed. The war in Vietnam would also change. The war was so ineffective because the US didn't full invade the North. They didn't do that because they feared a repeat of the Korean War, but nationalists China obviously won't side with Ho Chi Minh. They probably invade them from the north. North Vietnam falls, the nation is reunited, and Laos and Cambodia are never communist, meaning Pol Pot never rises. By the way, both South Korea and South Vietnam weren't democracies, but like the ROC dictatorships, and South Korea also became a democracy in the 90s. In this timeline, I don't think Singapore Sabah Sarawak joined Malaysia's they did it in OTL for protection against Communist China, but they don't exist in this timeline. China in this timeline would be much more stronger compared to OTL. With US fundings they would repair themselves quicker after World War II, and they modernize ever since the 50s. Also millions don't die because of collectivization. There would probably still a war against India, but with this China stronger than OTL, and the US supporting them they probably would fight for more than just 1 month. After the war they annexed Chin and Arunachal Pradesh. Pakistan, which also joined, annexes Kashmir, East Punjab, and West Bengal. Assam, which is cut off from India, becomes independent. Portugal is given Go, which they lost the year prior, and Thailand gets the Andamans. Soon later China would create its first nuke, and in 1974 Chiang Kai-shek dies, and Chiang Ching-kuo succeeds him, who dies in 1988. In the 90s they become a democracy, and also take Hong Kong and Macau from UK and Portugal, but since they are a democracy those won't rebel. With the end of us they might also take Mongolia. By the way, only Cuba is communist nowadays. If WW2 happens they most likely join the side of the US. They most likely would win. Nowadays China is the biggest economy, and also a democracy. I think they would also be more tolerant to other groups like the Uyghur. And Winpa never takes over. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like, and smash that subscribe button. Goodbye.